The golden boy stole my wife, but my father handed me the keys. I grew up in the shadow of a human hurricane named Caleb. See, in our house, Caleb was the miracle child. He had the kind of smile that made people forget he'd just borrowed $20 from their dresser, and the kind of luck that meant he never, ever had to face the music. My mother basically treated him like a fragile porcelain doll, while I was the sturdy, old work boot, expected to just keep on walking. I remember when I was 16, I'd saved up every single penny from mowing lawns to buy this beat-up silver sedan. It was my pride and joy. 2 weeks later, I find Caleb behind the wheel, smelling like a brewery, with the front bumper wrapped around a telephone pole. And you know what my mom said? She looked me dead in the eye and told me I shouldn't have left the keys where he could find them. She said, "He's just exploring his boundaries, Elias, don't be so stiff." I learned right then that in this family, I was the safety net, and Caleb was the acrobat. I stayed local, worked my tail off at my dad's construction firm, and eventually, I met Sarah. Sarah was the one. Or, so I thought. She was a kindergarten teacher, sweet as peach pie, and she seemed to actually appreciate that I was the stable, boring brother. We got married, and a year later, we had Leo. That little boy was my entire world. I'd come home from a 12-hour shift, covered in sawdust and sweat, and just holding him made the world feel right. But Caleb was always lurking. He'd moved back into the guest house after failing at another tech startup, and my mum was thrilled. Suddenly, he's at our place for dinner every night. He's helping Sarah with the gardening. He's being the fun uncle. I was happy. I thought, finally, my brother is growing up. The click happened on a Tuesday. I'd forgotten my laptop and swung back home around noon. I heard laughter coming from the backyard, the kind of private, intimate laughter that makes your skin crawl. I looked through the kitchen window and saw Caleb. He had his hand on the small of Sarah's back, and the way she looked at him, it wasn't sister-in-law friendly. It was hungry. I didn't storm out. I'm a builder. I like to see the whole blueprint before I demo a wall. I started looking. Phone bills, deleted texts, and then I found the emergency credit card I gave Sarah for the kid. There were charges for a boutique hotel 40 miles away on the same day she said she was visiting her sick aunt. But the real kicker? I found a printout hidden in her nightstand. A DNA test, dated 2 months after Leo was born. The probability of paternity for me was 0%. I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. My son, my little guy who I'd taught to throw a ball, was actually Caleb's. My brother didn't just take my car this time, he took my soul. I went to my parents' house that Sunday. My dad, a man who's about as talkative as a stone wall, was cleaning his grill. My mum was inside, probably making Caleb's favorite lasagna. I sat them down. I didn't say a word. I just played the recording. See, I'd called Caleb on the way over, and I'd put him on speaker. I told him I knew about the hotel. I told him Sarah told me everything. Caleb, being the arrogant prick he is, didn't deny it. He laughed. He actually laughed through the phone. He said, "Come on, Elias, you were always too busy working to give her what she needed. Besides, Leo looks just like me. He's got the winner genes. You should thank me for improving the family line." The silence in that backyard was deafening. My mother looked like she'd aged 30 years in 30 seconds. But my father just stood up, wiped his hands on his apron, and took the phone from me. "Caleb," my dad said, his voice like gravel, "you have 1 hour to get your things out of the guest house. If I see your face on my property after that, I won't call the cops. I'll handle it myself." Caleb started stuttering. "Dad, wait, it's not." Click. My dad turned to me. He didn't hug me, he isn't that kind of guy. He just put a heavy hand on my shoulder and said, "I've been a blind fool, son. I thought I was protecting the weak one, but I was just feeding a parasite." The fallout was brutal. I filed for divorce the next morning. Sarah tried to play the think of the child card, but I couldn't do it. Every time I looked at Leo, I saw Caleb smirk. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Walking away from a kid who calls you Dada, but I knew if I stayed, that poison would kill me. A month later, my dad called me into his office at the firm. He pushed a folder across the desk. It was his new will. He'd cut Caleb out, completely. Not even a good luck cent. He's leaving the entire business, the properties, and the $3 million estate to me. He told me, "You've been building this legacy since you were 18. It's time the person who actually SWINNED the hammer gets to own the house." Last I heard, Caleb is living in a studio apartment above a garage, working as a delivery driver. Sarah is suing him for child support, but since he's between jobs, she's getting nothing. Me? I'm focused on the business. I still have some bad nights, and I'm in therapy to deal with the uncle-father trauma, but for the first time in my life, I'm not anyone's safety net. I'm the one holding the keys. Would you like me to develop a follow-up story where Elias encounters Caleb years later at a family funeral, or perhaps focus on Elias finding a new partner who helps him heal?